Alex was in the middle of talking, so we'll go back to Alex answering, and then I'll pose the question again.
All right, you guys, we are back. I have literally no idea why we keep getting these little lovely notifications for copyright violations. I have no idea why that happens, but here we are. So share the new link with your friends. I see 5 of you are here, and you just hopped right back on into the conversation. So thank you very much. Grab that little link at the top and share that back out. So, anywho, we're gonna pick right up where we left off with Alex.
Okay, sorry for the technical difficulties. Luckily, I didn't do that this time. Um, what I was saying is, I was a pretty avid gym goer. I would go every day, either right after school or around 5. And so this transition has, I don't want to say difficult, but I I liked going to the gym. It made me get out of my house a little bit. Um, Social interaction with different people. You kind of have a group that you see there, talk to, all of that type of stuff. So doing the workouts from home now, um, I still do that. And then I've been trying to go outside more to do my cardio when we can. But I will say, being cooped up, it has probably taken, a little bit of toll on me. I was talking to some of my friends and how the weather's been too. It's been miserable, and she was like, "I think I'm depressed today because I couldn't get outside." So like, just being able to have that outlet to actually get through some of this cooped upness, I think is very important, not only for me but for other people as well.
Thank you, Alex, for sharing. We'll come back to the rest of the panel. I want to repose that question so people know. You obviously you got a hint from what Alex is talking about, and I always also want to take a minute to introduce a new panelist that came on while we were out. Our stream was broken, but it's Elliot Mattingly. Most of you all are familiar with him. He's a local athlete, local physical therapist in our area, and he did the podcast that was shared as a resource for this community brew. So, and he formed a group. The podcast is called Ready to Run, but he formed a group, a running group here in Bardstown. So, Elliot, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the group.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me on. Yeah, so we started our running group with Court and in Bardstown. Gosh, it's probably been about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's grown tremendously. And we have, when we're allowed to run together, we have up to about 40 to 50 people who will show up, which is amazing for a small town. Uh, but really, what it's done is it's trying to give people different avenues to talk about exercise in a community where that's a normal conversation. Because we see on social media a lot of times you have your people who exercise and they post about exercise, and other people get annoyed by that. Well, this just puts you in a private group where you can just talk about whatever you want, and just get excited about movement and being healthy together. So it's pretty neat because it fit pretty closely with what I like to do, of course, in my daily job as a physical therapist, where I promote the movement for people and just getting uh, getting people excited about being active. And helping with people's pain too. So that's a benefit. But yeah, I'm excited to be on here today. So I look forward to hearing some of y'all's questions, and hopefully we can get through this together.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we were talking about before you came on. It's just how we are emphasizing active lifestyles today. We had a workout 30 minutes before this, and so that's why we're all coming in a little bit sweaty today. And but really, the conversations around this phenomena around COVID-19 has provided this kind of weird thing that people are really emphasizing caring for one another, active lifestyles, connections, and which is a great phenomenon to happen in the middle of a health crisis, and it's so important. So I was asking the panelists, what are they doing to keep active? What do their active lifestyles look like? So I'll throw the question back out to any of the other health and wellness teachers if you all want to chime in there.
I think I have to agree with Alex when we talked about the weather. I think when the weather's really nice, everybody has a better day because they have the opportunity to get outside, and that's what I've been doing. I have a long driveway, so I've been running it. But like yesterday, when the weather was kind of bad, it's like
you kind of get a little depressed about it because you can't go outside and your kids can't go outside and your 2-year-old toddler is going crazy because he can't go outside. So I do think the weather helps, and I do believe it's given more of opportunity that people have to be creative about how they work out.
Shane, I'm going to throw it at you. I know Shane Cunningham is a wellness teacher out at Boston, and I know he's been doing some things with his kids live on YouTube or on Google Meets, things like that. So, Shane, do you care to chime in there?
Yeah, I meet with elementary kids once a week, and we do a 30-minute PE class. Like the first week, we did ABC yoga. So they took turns posing like letters of the alphabet, and then they spelt their name or whatever they wanted to spell. Last week, we did a basketball one where they just had any type of equipment they had, and like they took. We had a contest where they had a laundry basket and a rolled up sock, and they tried to shoot and make as many shots as they could. With middle school right now, we're looking at online resources they can use for exercise, like Beachbody on Demand, and there's a software called Sworkit that they can find online workouts and stuff. So they're finding resources and exercises in their homes right now.
Nice. Wes, you have active.
What? I'm sorry.
Sorry, Shane. I was back to Wes or Jeremy just to see how they're being active in their lifestyles.
So pre-COVID, I would work out every single day on my planning period, at least 20 minutes. So at 1:30 every day, I'd work out in our weight room. And since I'm blessed enough at home to have a bunch of kettlebells and a row machine here at home, I try to stay on that routine of at 1:30, just get in there for 20, 30 minutes, doing like a high intensity interval training workout, kind of like what you guys did this morning. Yeah, since we've kind of been stuck in the house, I have a little more time to do some exercise actually. And Shane brought up the Beachbody on Demand. Me and my wife actually have a Beachbody subscription, and that program is really great. And they offer a variety of different programs. Right now, we're doing a boxing program, and we actually get pretty excited to get up in the morning and do that. So that's helped us stay active during this, and with the weather, um, kind of get a chance to get outside with the kids, and they're learning to ride bikes. So we walk and ride bikes up and down the neighborhood. So that kind of helps keep me pretty upbeat during all this.
I will say this. Living in the neighborhood I live in, we went on a walk the other day, and I have never seen more kids outside, like playing basketball. Like you just don't see that a whole lot anymore. Them outside playing and doing a whole lot of that. So a part of me, I don't want to say it's like a blessing, but a part of me is glad that they're out and they're doing those types of things because our parents used to kick us out of the house and say, "Don't come back in until it's dark." And now they get so consumed with these video games and stuff that hopefully this will bring back a little more of that type of I guess ritual that we used to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the articles that was posted, or the article that was posted around the mental health components of exercising. And none of us can deny the fact that exercising really plays, and really just being active in your lifestyle is really just this huge thing on the brain. It combats negativity. It combat, people, it's like Liz Mattingly, one of our school nurses, she sent me a message that said, exercising is medication. And honestly, and so I want to pose this question to Elliot. Elliot, so what do you see kind of in your role in your job, and then as a community member that started a running group, how do you see exercising really flourishing in our community and how it helps the mind as well?
I think it's interesting to, when we're around a bunch of runners, everybody's in a good mood, everybody's happy, everybody's so glad to be together, and there's really uh, everybody thinks we're really strange and really weird because we're always smiling and happy, even when we're running. But I think that's just a testament um, to how powerful exercise is for the mind. They said if you could put exercise into a pill, it'd be the most powerful medicine in the world, because not only does it help with your mind, it helps fight cancer, obesity, uh, diabetes. It fights everything. So if you can go through and create exercise as a part of your normal life, then you're going to fight. I mean, literally everything that could attack your body, right? So you want to keep your body as healthy as you can. And we know with all that's going on right now, if you're healthy, that's going to decrease the risk of the coronavirus taking um, taking you into a state where you don't want to be. So exercise and being healthy is a way to combat that, and something you can do in advance. I love hearing these things about people using the Beachbody program. I know the Peloton app's giving like free 90 days away for things, and there's all kinds of ways to perform exercise. You just have to be creative. Like I saw BJ's post yesterday of you all and your kids, and that's pretty good. He had a full day with you guys. That was awesome. So I think it's really neat to see what people are doing, and really this is an opportunity, because I'm kind of I'm not sure his name was, but I've exercised more in the past week already than I did the past 2 or 3 weeks before, because I didn't have time. And now that I have the time, I'm doing it, and then it feels really good to do it. You just kind of gotta be careful and not break Andy's rules about running with people. You just gotta be apart from everybody, which is still interesting, but there are ways to do it, and I'm glad to hear everybody's getting it done.
Well,
Yeah, that takes us. Go ahead, Brooke.
I was just going to say, let me chime in on this conversation as the non wellness leader on the, I guess, panel this morning. But, I was talking yesterday to a friend, and, I have always really struggled with like a morning routine, like coming up with, something that's active, that, starts my day off right. And it's like always been something I've wanted to do and I could imagine myself doing it. And I go to bed thinking I'm going to do it, and I never do it. But this time that where we're being forced to like slow down, and it, just like Alex said, it really is an opportunity for those of us who might not be as active and already have that routine established to really invest in our own wellness and create that opportunity, and habit now while life is slow and we're forced to be at home. Let me pop over to the comments real quick while I've got the mic. Elliot, you've got lots of fans over here this morning in the YouTube live chat. Everybody is showing you the love, part of the Elliot fan club.
That's awful nice.
Yeah, Kathy Oler from OKH, she said she just took a mile walk before she started her work day. Yay, Kathy. Let's see. There is Nikki Anderson was again talking about Beachbody and that they were offering free kid workouts. I just started a program yesterday on there, but I did not know that there were free kid workouts. So that's super awesome. Chastity Gregory from Boston, she gave you a shout out, Shane, for the amazing work that you're doing with the kids there. Tiffany Clark chimed in that Peloton has free workouts and that she is really taking advantage of the live versions right now. Victoria Stiles, we mentioned her earlier last week. She's live streaming yoga on Facebook. So there's lots of opportunities. You guys are very engaged out there in YouTube land in this conversation. I love it.
Awesome. I'm going to get to some a more difficult conversation around what do we see, because Elliot and then Elliot really started this conversation about what excuses, what barriers, obstacles do we use, even maybe ourselves, but our students definitely use it in the classroom and in their lives for not being active. So what are the most kind of the common excuses that you guys hear? And they're not, I mean, they're just, some of them are true barriers to being able to lead active lifestyles, and what obstacles do we see and how we overcome that. I tell you, one time Leslie and I were having a conversation about people using anxiety as a reason that they could not participate in physical activity. And so we had to do some interventions with and she did with some parents and students and different things just to combat that, because anxiety, I mean, it's almost like I wouldn't say I'd say it's comparable, but using exercise as medication, especially with anxiety, is so critical to get the chemicals in your brain going and your body moving. So that was an interesting, but that's something we heard. This is excuse or barrier to being physically active that we could say, no, actually, it's actually a medication to anxiety. So I'm going to pass the mic to you guys if you all want to share some of the most common excuses or obstacles to being physically active that you've heard.
I think the main thing that I hear a lot is obviously time, and time is what we have a lot of right now. So I think that's one thing that's nice that we can work with. I think another thing is people are definitely fearful of what they don't know, and when they come into physical therapy, our first job is we have to build a trusting relationship with them so they can first off so we can fully understand what's going on with them and figure out how we can help them, and then we can prescribe them the exercises that are appropriate, and they still have to take those home and decide if they buy in. Do they really think that's going to be helpful or not? People they feel like if they don't go to the gym or if they don't have equipment at home that they can't exercise. And you guys have already talked about it. There's plenty of ways to do it. Especially with the exercises that we typically give. We don't give people equipment to do. We want them to be able to do it anywhere, wherever they want, um, just really quickly and safely. So people definitely use the time situation as a big obstacle. But like I said, that's kind of limited excuse right now.
When we're actually in school and have classes, I see a lot of they're fearful of being embarrassed in front of other kids. Maybe if they're not doing something the right way or they're not the athlete. I see that. I also see a lot of kids say, I don't like to do that. I don't like to do this. And you can explain to them that physical activity can be so many different things, and you may not be able to do all of them in the gym. But I try to find something that every student in my class will like to do, and it's hard because they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't like being physically active, or again, I'm embarrassed to do it in front of others, which has helped. At Thomas Nelson, we do have our health and PE classes separated by gender, so that does help a little bit. So, but I do think one of the things, kind of the self-esteem thing, they don't want to do working out in front of each other.
Kind of piggybacking off that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Piggybacking off that really is a lot of kids that I see, they say they can't. Like before they even try something, they say, "Well, I can't do that," or "I can't do that." Well, yeah, you can, and it kind of takes us as leaders, to kind of put yourself out there. Maybe you got to make a fool of yourself to do something. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense a little bit? Like you got to make sure that you're leading everybody. If you want your students to do stuff, you got to lead from the front also. And I think that's one thing that I think this group does a really good job of. But a lot of my students say I can't before they even really try. Right? It's kind of like a fear of failure before they even do anything. And I just think that's kind of one thing that I hear.
Kind of build on what both of you were saying. Yeah, in PE class, it's kind of the embarrassment or afraid of failure. And I'm sorry for my camera isn't working, so that's why you can't see me right now. Um, but the afraid of failure and embarrassment. And one thing that I've noticed is since we've been on this self isolation, I've had my students do workouts almost every day and then write a reflection on it. And those students that are kind of afraid of failing or afraid of being embarrassed, their reflections after their workouts are, I'm it's kind of hurt. It's kind of I feel the burn, but I'm really proud of myself for actually doing this. And as we've gone on, they've even said they've seen improvements and continue to do their workouts.
I agree. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Brooke. You got it.
No, I was just gonna agree with both of you guys because I'm always like bringing it back home to the mom perspective right now, and so like for my kids, it's been a struggle. Just like the same excuses, like Leslie, what you were saying, and Jonathan, like my kids don't. They're like, I don't want to do yoga. I don't know how to do yoga. I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? And like getting them active, and so I think this morning was a powerful moment for me and my kids because I'm like, I'm working out with Mr. Jonathan on YouTube right now. And like they were kind of coming in and out. And so they're like, well, what do you do? And how do you know? And so I think it's important even for us as parents to like really throw ourselves out there, especially right now. When our kids are watching us and seeing us like create those habits for ourselves, I think will make a big difference, even as parents too.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends right now that do the beach body and stuff, and that's kind of what I've been doing. But they are in groups, and one of the things they talk about so much is how there that you lead by example with your kids, and that sometimes when they see you doing some weird stuff, it intrigues them to actually be like, oh well, maybe I want to do that, and then they kind of fall into place, and then they kind of start doing it. But as far as like as a teacher standpoint, I mean, Jonathan and Leslie hit, I mean, they hit it on the head. Kids don't want to do it, they're insecure with themselves, and I feel as though Jonathan makes a very good point that we have to do it, even though we may look silly. We have to do that. And like one of the things I probably struggle with myself is I love to do certain things, but other people may not like to do that. So getting out of my comfort zone and being able to do different types of things to hit all kids and people. And I've been trying to help people that I work with. With their fitness over here, they might not like the stuff I do. So I may have to get creative with them. And another thing I see is when people actually start doing stuff, they get sore and they think that they hurt themselves. And so they think, oh, well, I don't need to do that anymore. Whereas they're just sore from not working out from a very long time. I mean, I get that all the time. I don't want to do it, but I think that's another one of those things that they use as an excuse, and then trying to break bad habits of getting out of the norm of trying to create a different cycle, or I guess a schedule. It's comfortable with what they're doing now instead of trying to change that.
So as we think about the obstacles, and we can term them excuses, but some of them are pretty valid. I liked Laura, man. I was able to get over to the chat while ago and see like the only, and I'm not going to say it right, Laura. You said it much better, but the only obstacle is yourself, really. And this comes down to, we talked about, really control, the human's mechanism for control and the desire for control, especially of our bodies, and our students. And so last week. And so now we're talking about, you have a choice to be physically active in schools, in your neighborhoods, in our community, and us kind of being those leaders of what that looks like. And so I want to close out today with the question along the lines of, what does this mean? Like, we know that human body, so if you're a teacher out there listening to this, the one thing I hope you pull away from this is that the human body is developing when they're with you, and you know that. But we have to ensure that we're not just educating the mind, but we are helping their actual bodies develop in healthy mechanisms. And so that's one reason you see a big push for additional recess and additional physical education in elementary schools, because of those developing bodies. But remember, bodies don't quit developing after fifth grade. And so I want to pose this to the panel as the last question: is what does this mean then for educators to create future experiences that make sure that we're leading people to active lifestyles? And Elliot, I'd love for you to chime in on this as a community member looking in at educators and saying, what does this mean for us, really?
I think, as we know, as health and PE teachers, that you need exercise every day. And if something positive comes out of this whole staying at home, maybe it'll show people that everybody needs some kind of physical activity more often, and not just elementary students get recess, but we need mandated physical activity every day in elementary, middle school, and high school, not just 18 weeks of health and PE as a freshman, and that's it. I think that we need to, hopefully, people will see we need physical activity during the school day more often.
Yeah, and I love about that. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
You're good. I agree with Leslie, because we've kind of talked about that this year. These kids that, and I'm now at a middle school, but I was at a high school. But these kids that come into middle school, or are making these transitions, it is so hard for them from going from having recess in elementary school, and and PE, and then they come to middle school and they may not get PE ever again because they technically don't have to have it. So, and teachers wonder why all these kids are wild and crazy. Well, they have no room to, you know, outlet their energy. Whereas that's not solely just on PE and health teachers. That should be more so based, or some of our core content teachers may need to implement that too, as far as getting them up and moving just so they can release some of that energy, because it's so important for them to be able to move throughout the day. And then in high school, what Leslie's saying is some of them may only get it for 18 weeks, and, and then they'll never take PE again. But then you're going to get those that want to take it. So it's basically, I feel like we might need to get creative on having some sort of physical activity every day.
Yeah, I was going to chime in on that, Alex, and say I agree. You know, and it's not just for the health and PE teachers to do, but core content teachers, whatever you want to call yourselves. I'd call every single teacher. I'd call a wellness leader or a caretaker, because you're caring for the body that's sitting in front of you. And so, creating experiences that allow activity and movement in your instruction is just key. But health and PE and recess and all that, I would always be a champion for additional things like that in education, but for sure in the classroom, anybody can do it. Anybody can be a wellness leader, should be a wellness leader and a caretaker. So we're coming down to the end of our time. Elliot, I just want to get your thoughts really fast on what you think about education and this conversation around wellness, and then we'll wrap it up with that.
I really like hearing you all's conversation about this. I think it's really important to show kids that movement is safe, movement's healthy. Our bodies are made to move. So I think a lot of times if these children live in households where they have, parents who are on disability because of low back pain, or, there's this trend that we can see, and you guys are the people that can actually break that trend and show them that movement can be fun and can be healthy, and it's a way to help everything in our life and actually help us be a better student as well. So I do appreciate hearing that, and it makes my job easier because when I go and I teach an exercise, well, they might have already learned that exercise from you guys in gym class, which is really nice and easy. And we can just hone it in for them. So thank you guys for what you're doing, and thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, thank you, entire panel, for joining us. Brooke, I know we're past our time, so I'm gonna throw it back at you. We just could talk all day about this.
I know. The chat has definitely been hopping over there, so I'm loving this conversation. So I'm gonna go back, just so you guys know, I'm gonna go back to our workouts video that got cut off, and I'm going to appeal that copyright violation so that we can get Jonathan's workout posted to our YouTube page, so you guys who did not get the opportunity to work out with us this morning can go back and watch that. So give me about an hour, and hopefully that'll be back live on our YouTube channel under our The Community Brew playlist. Thank you all for tuning in. I mean, Jonathan, I have to give you a shout out. You talk about putting yourself out there, my friend. You put yourself out there this morning, leading us. The whole time I was working out, I have to say this, because I was just like, how hard must it be for you to have like a conversation with your computer? Like, good job, good job. Like, I mean, it was great and I really appreciated it, but I got really tickled while I was working out. Like, how crazy must he feel right now in this empty room, like motivating a computer? So anyway, I just have to give you a shout out for that. Thank you so much for putting yourself out there for us and letting us get our sweat on this morning. I appreciate it. Those of you tuning in with us tomorrow, I have to tell you a special treat. We have our workforce leaders tomorrow at 8:30, and we have a special guest panelist who is actually the author of the article that is posted on our NCSNTIdays.com under For Teachers. So we'll have a guest author on our panel tomorrow along with our workforce leaders. So we're so excited to see you all tomorrow live at 8:30 a.m. So make it an impossible day, you guys.